Hello and welcome to this certainly a bit different video. This is unscripted. This is just me talking to you guys about Herpa's latest release batch, or more precisely, about their new prices. Now, I have been complaining about Herpa's prices for quite some time, and every new batch or every second batch, it seems, prices go up and up and up. And every time after I make a video where I give you the information about these new prices, about the new models, we end up with the same feeling, I guess. We end up in the same discussions. This is it. Now they have pushed it too far. It's too expensive. Who's gonna pay for that? I'm leaving this hobby. I'm switching to scale 400. I've heard it all so many times. I have thought it myself so many times. And yet again, we are here after another price increase from Herpa Wings. And it's not like we have never gotten any explanations from Herpa Wings. I mean, they are too rare and they often don't seem very convincing. I mean, I have made a few videos about it, and I have pretty much debunked all the arguments they have come up with why they have to continue to increase these prices. Of course, we never get a reply from that then, where we hear, well, Herpa either then agreeing that it's bogus or at least coming up with a more convincing explanation as to why these prices need to go up. So where are we now? We are now at a point where a narrow body in scale 500, according to Herpa, should cost you 40 euros. A wide body, 45. I don't think we have to go much further back than 10, 15 years. And for 40 euros, you could almost get 2 narrow bodies. Now you get 1. There is no inflation that can explain these prices. There is no additional shipping costs, and if shipping costs are that terrible for Herpa Wings, move your production to Eastern Europe. There is no additional license fees that can explain these price hikes, and especially there is just no obvious argument that can be made as to why every second, sometimes every new batch has to have price increases. I don't want to libel myself here and call Herpa liars when they argue why these prices have to be this high, why it is not just extortion of the customer, because I can't prove it. I mean, I've tried. I have for sure dug as deep as I could, and I have facts that point in a direction which is not favorable to Herpa, but ultimately Herpa would need to disclose certain information which they don't in order to really get a full picture as to why the prices have to be this high. I have even argued, I mean, there are points that show that Herpa doesn't make much money, and that is, of course, an argument as to why they need to increase these prices. And that's a strong argument. If Herpa doesn't make money, like any other business, you have to increase your prices. The problem, of course, with Herpa is that, sure, they can increase their prices, but the prices we have today just don't reflect the value of the product they are selling. There is some maximum as to what you can push your prices to before the chain jumps off, before the price just doesn't make sense anymore related to the product that the customer is getting. And we have a long time ago breached that level with Herpa. I mean, I am beyond frustration, to be honest. I'm sure many of you are as well. And I mean, I can already see it now. The messages, the comments I will be getting, these prices are horrendous. I'll be stopping my hobby. I'll I switched to scale 400. And by the way, it's not like scale 400 is cheaper. And scale 400 has also experienced price increases. But the value you get for your money is still so much better, even with price increases in scale 400. And that is the whole point. It is the value price ratio that just doesn't make sense anymore with Herpa wings. And honestly speaking, I don't know what their goal is with this. What is their goal? I mean, every new batch increasing the prices. We are now, as I said, at 40 euros retail price for a narrow body. What is their goal here? I mean, they have acknowledged in their own financial reports that they're losing collectors and they need to find new people to buy stuff. But who are these new people? What new collector can afford 40 euros for one single narrow body? Like, realistically, who are the people who are joining this hobby? That's youth. That's young people. When I started this hobby, I was a kid. When I seriously started to collecting, I was a teenager. And it's not different today. The new people going into this hobby are not 50-year-olds. It's 15-year-olds. Those are the people that are joining into this hobby and then through their lifetime maybe take some pauses, but every now and then, again and again, return to this hobby and continue this hobby. But who honestly can afford to spend 40 euros for a narrow body? So here we are again. And I can see the comments coming in. I can see the messages coming in. This is terrible. I'm going to stop this hobby. I'm going to switch to scale 400. What is Herpa thinking? And I think the same. As I said, this is entirely unscripted. This is my honest thoughts, my spontaneous thoughts when I see these prices. And I think to myself, does this hobby have a future? Does it have a future for myself? I love this hobby. I love my scale 500 models. I've never loved Herpa. I love scale 500. I think for me, it's just the right size for a plane model with the things that I want to do with these plane models. Making airport setups and also just, storing models takes a lot of space, and scale 500 takes much less space than scale 400 or 200. But where are we going with this? This doesn't have a future, for sure. This does not have a future. And I have said it many times before, and I'm not getting tired saying it again. With these prices, and not just future increased prices, but with these prices we have now from Herpa Wings, this hobby does not have a future. Scale 500 does not have a future. And it pains me to say this, because I love scale 500, but it does not have a future. And it is only Herpa to blame for this. There is no other ones to be blamed for this. It's Herpa and Herpa alone. They're ridiculous decisions to keep increasing these prices time and time again. At no value. There's nothing. 2021, after having increased their prices massively, they said, okay, you know what? Yes, we've increased these prices, but now we can give you some additional details. It was a big joke back then, because the additional details we got were some markings on engines and some static ports. Details that other manufacturers had on their models as a standard already in the beginning of the 2000s. So 20 years earlier. But now we are in 2024, and prices have just exploded since then. And have we got anything in return? Have we? We have less quality. We don't have any more details on the models. And seemingly we are getting fewer and fewer models. I can understand, because, who is supposed to buy all this shit. So where are we now? We are at 40 euros retail. That's what Herpa thinks a model should cost for a narrow body and 45 euros for a wide body. What does that mean? I mean, apart from they will lose even more collectors, it does also mean, of course, that the retailers that are selling these models will be even more pressed. Because who's supposed to pay the official retail price? Nobody. I mean, today nobody pays the official retail price unless you buy directly from Herpa, which I'm sorry to say is a stupid thing to do. Well, if you're not doing that, you're buying it from a retailer. And almost all of the retailers have day one discounts. Why? It's not just because the other retailers have it. It's because nobody can afford the official retail price, so the price that Herpa thinks the product should cost. Herpa doesn't care if the retailer reduces their prices, because Herpa has already gotten all the money they wanted for the model when selling it to the retailer at their full price, at their retailer price. So when the retailer reduces the price, it just means the retailer is earning less. But who's supposed to afford 40 euros for a narrow body scale 500 model? Who? Not a real person, not someone with a normal job, not any young people starting their collection. Who is supposed to afford this, Herpa? I'm asking you directly. Who is supposed to afford this? So they're just making life even harder for the retailers, which is the network that supplies collectors with these models. Once the retail network is down, how does Herpa want to sell their models? I mean, seriously, how do you guys from Herpa Wings expect people to buy your models when you have killed off your retailer network with these ridiculous prices? Who should help you sell these models? I mean, yes, people can order directly from your website that after I don't know how many years is still mediocre at best. And okay, you have your Wings Club or whatever you call the new thing now. I mean, if I spend a fortune, I get 5% discount. 5%! Most retailers offer, I mean, not just a day one discount, but if you pre-order, a 10% discount. I mean, hey, you could argue, hey, at least Herpa doesn't directly compete with their retailers. No, they don't. They just kill off the retailers by their ridiculous prices. And how are they expecting to sell their models after the retailers are gone? How? So where are we now? We are at 40 euros for a narrow body and 45 euros for a wide body. There are many words I'd like to say to Herpa right now. None of them are compliant with the YouTube guidelines, so I won't. Also because it's not constructive. But I feel them, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So well done, Herpa. Well done. I'm not the only one who's tried to advise you, tried to show you that this is the wrong way. You don't care. You don't care, you don't listen. You do your thing. That's your prerogative. By all means, keep doing what you're doing. You won't be doing it for very long. Because who's supposed to be able to afford 40 euros for a scale 500 single aisle model?